Welcome to English Beta. Let's learn together. English Beta. English Beta.
Good morning. Welcome to our podcast series of English learning. But before we go any further, I want you to guess something.
Oh, a guessing game right off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. So, what activity can literally lower your heart rate in just like 360 seconds while simultaneously hacking your brain to learn a new language?
And, I'll give a quick hint here. You are not looking at a screen.
Right, no screens allowed. We are pulling from a really fascinating piece of source material today called The Benefits of Reading Books.
It's a great text.
It really is. And the mission of this deep dive is to look at the actual mechanics of why reading is basically a biological cheat code. We are going to explore how just paper and ink can rewire your brain, completely effortlessly teach you grammar, and, serve as the ultimate antidote to our digital burnout.
It's super great to be here. And looking at the research, what really stands out to me is how we often treat reading as a chore.
Right, totally.
Especially when we are trying to learn a language like English. We treat it as this heavy academic task. But the source material completely flips that narrative. It breaks down the neurological and psychological shifts that happen when we read, proving that it is actually the most efficient, natural way for our brains to absorb information.
And I want you, the listener, to keep your own daily routine in mind as we unpack this. Like, think about the environment you are navigating every single day.
Yeah, picture it.
Maybe you are standing shoulder to shoulder on a completely crowded, swaying local train in Mumbai during the morning rush.
Holding on for dear life.
Exactly. Or maybe you are a university student sitting at a small desk, just feeling the immense pressure of upcoming exams.
That is so stressful.
It is. Or maybe you were just finding a quiet 10 minutes to relax with a hot cup of morning chai before the daily chaos begins. Wherever you are, this information applies directly to you. So let's start with the foundation. The source material claims we actually need to prepare our brain like a muscle before we can improve our English.
Right, exactly. The source frames reading as a literal workout for your cognitive functions.
Like going to the gym, but for your head.
Yes. To understand why, we have to look at how the brain processes different types of information. Think about the default way most of us consume content today.
Scrolling videos on our phones?
Right, watching videos on our phones or televisions.
Yeah.
From a neurological standpoint, watching a video is an incredibly passive experience.
Wait, passive in what sense? Because, when I am watching a really complex documentary in English or a fast-paced thriller, my brain feels like it is working incredibly hard to keep up.
Well, it feels that way because you are emotionally engaged, but physically, your brain's processing centers are actually taking a massive shortcut.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the screen is doing all the heavy lifting for you. It provides the exact images, the exact sounds, the pacing, the facial expressions. Your visual and auditory cortexes are just, receiving prepackaged data.
I see.
But when you read a physical book, the process is completely different. The source calls this active engagement.
Active engagement. I love that phrase. Actually, listener, let's practice that right now. I want you to practice this new English phrase. Repeat after me. Active engagement.
All right.
I am going to give you a 3-second pause to try saying it out loud right now. 1, 2, 3.
Great job.
Awesome. Okay, let's unpack this. So if watching a video is like eating fast food, quick dopamine, empty calories, and someone else did all the cooking, reading a book is more like a slow-cooked meal where you have to do the preparation yourself.
That is a perfect analogy.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at words on a page, you are literally just looking at abstract symbols, right? Black ink on white paper.
Just squiggles, really?
Exactly.
Okay.
Your brain has to actively translate those symbols into meaning. It has to independently construct the faces of the characters, paint the colors of the scenery, synthesize complex concepts.
Has to do all the work.
Yes. Neurologically, this forces multiple regions of your brain to fire simultaneously. It keeps your neural pathways sharp. It strengthens your working memory as you hold plot points from chapter to chapter. And it significantly increases your baseline capacity for deep focus.
So we are literally building cognitive muscle.
Yeah.
But, let's connect this directly to the elephant in the room for our listeners, which is learning English.
Right. The big goal.
Because I remember being a student and trying to learn by pure brute force. I would literally try to memorize pages of a thick dictionary.
Oh, no. That sounds terrible.
It was. Or I would stare at these incredibly dense, confusing textbook grammar rules until my eyes watered from my university exams. It just felt like a punishment.
And that is exactly why it rarely works. The text we are analyzing points out something fundamental about human psychology. Rote memorization, which is what you were doing with that dictionary, is simply not how our brains naturally acquire language.
Not at all.
When you try to memorize isolated grammar rules, you are actively fighting against your brain's natural learning mechanisms.
So what is the alternative then? How does active engagement actually fix that?
Through what neuroscientists call implicit learning, the source material emphasizes that reading is the most natural way to learn English because it exposes you to vocabulary and grammar completely organically.
Organically, like in the wild.
Yes, when you encounter a new word in a story, it is not isolated. It is wrapped in a specific emotional context spoken by a specific character in a highly specific situation. Your brain creates a web of associations around that word, which makes it much, much easier to retrieve later.
That tracks perfectly with what I've seen in my own life. I mean, it is the difference between memorizing the physics of how a bicycle works on a chalkboard versus just getting on the bike and feeling the balance.
Exactly.
When you read, you are riding the bike. The meaning just clicks.
Precisely. And this applies heavily to grammar, which, as we know, is usually the most stressful part of exams. Instead of painfully memorizing the difference between past perfect and present continuous tense from some boring chart, reading allows you to absorb correct grammar effortlessly.
Effortlessly.
You see the patterns repeated hundreds of times on the page. Eventually, you start to use correct grammar, not because you remember the rule, but because a poorly constructed sentence suddenly just sounds wrong to you.
That is incredibly freeing. You don't have to force the learning, you just have to expose yourself to the language. Let's actually do a quick role play to show how this works in real life. I'll play Sam and you play Anna.
Okay, sounds fun. I'm ready.
Anna, how is your English grammar so good?
I don't memorize textbooks, Sam. I just read books and absorb it naturally.
And scene. See, listener, it really can be that easy. You are just outsourcing the teaching to the book itself. And this shifts our perspective completely. Learning English doesn't have to be this painful academic struggle happening in a sterile classroom.
Not at all.
It can be an exciting mystery novel you read on your commute or a fascinating biography you read with your tea.
And that brings us to a really beautiful concept introduced in the source material. The text refers to books as silent mentors that you can carry in your bag.
Silent mentors. Wow, I love the imagery there.
It is a really powerful framework. I mean, a mentor is someone who has already walked the path you are on, someone who's made the mistakes and distilled their wisdom into lessons.
Right.
The text notes that no matter what your goal is, whether you are studying for highly competitive university exams to become a teacher, or aiming for a promotion, or trying to teach yourself modern creative skills like digital art or graphic design, there's a mentor who has written a book about it.
Right. So let's go back to that image of the listener on a crowded, noisy local train. People are pushing, the heat is intense, the environment is completely chaotic.
Very chaotic.
But zipped up safely in your backpack, you are carrying the world's leading expert on graphic design, or a master of modern architecture, just waiting to give you a one-on-one masterclass.
Exactly. By engaging with these silent mentors, you are absorbing fresh ideas and new techniques that you can directly apply to your daily work. It makes you more creative, more competitive, and you are doing it completely on your own schedule.
It is literally like having a superpower hidden in your bag. You are leveling up your career and your English at the exact same time while everyone else is just staring out the window. By the way, if you are enjoying this lesson, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon for more simple English lessons.
Always a good reminder.
Yes. Now this creates a really interesting transition. Because these silent mentors can teach us how to thrive in the modern digital world, they can teach us coding, digital marketing, software design. But ironically, the source material points out that our constant connection to this digital world is causing a massive health crisis.
It is a huge crisis, and the scary part is, it is largely invisible. We are living in an era defined by what the text calls digital noise.
Digital noise. And we all feel it, don't we? I mean, we wake up and immediately check our phones. We stare at glowing computer monitors all day at the office or at university. We come home and decompress by watching television while scrolling through social media.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It is a constant barrage of notifications, emails, and bright colors.
And your nervous system is paying a heavy price for that barrage. Constant exposure to digital noise triggers a low-level fight-or-flight response. Your brain is constantly scanning for the next alert, the next piece of information.
Just waiting for the ping.
Yes, and this causes immense chronic stress and anxiety. We are entirely losing the ability to truly rest.
So how does reading a physical book solve this? Because reading still requires mental effort, right? We just established that it is a gym for the brain. How can a workout also be a rest?
That is the brilliant paradox of reading. While it is cognitively active, it is physiologically calming. The source highlights a stunning study: just 6 minutes of silent reading can significantly lower your heart rate and ease muscle tension.
Wait. I have to push back on that. 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
Sometimes it takes me 6 minutes just to remember what happened in the last chapter and find my place on the page. How is it having a physical effect that quickly?
Well, it happens rapidly because of how reading forces you to physically focus. When you are looking at a screen or walking down a busy street, your visual field is constantly shifting, tracking movement and threats.
Right, looking all around.
But when you read a physical book, just paper and ink, you have to hold your eyes steady on a static page. You are forced to disconnect from the chaos around you and narrow your focus to one single quiet task.
Oh, I see.
This hyperfocus signals safety to your parasympathetic nervous system, which immediately starts lowering your heart rate and relaxing your muscles. You find actual peace after a tiring day.
That is fascinating. It is an immediate physiological intervention. 6 minutes to physically calm your heart after a stressful day of exams or work. But, if we are talking about resting our bodies, we have to tackle the final boss of modern exhaustion.
The sleep problem.
Yes, let's talk about the sleep problem, because I know almost every single person listening to this right now has fallen victim to this bad habit. You are lying in bed, you are exhausted, your eyes are heavy, but instead of just going to sleep, you are endlessly scrolling through social media.
We have all been there, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is a deeply destructive habit for our circadian rhythms. The source material explains the exact mechanism behind why scrolling at night ruins our rest, and it comes down to something called blue light.
Blue light.
The screen of your smartphone or tablet emits a very specific wavelength of bright artificial blue light.
Right, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second. My phone has a dark mode, and I use one of those blue light filters that turns the screen slightly orange at night. Doesn't that solve the problem? Isn't that basically the same as reading a book?
It is absolutely not the same. No. While blue light filters slightly reduce the strain on your eyes, they do not eliminate the core issue. When you stare at any bright, backlit screen in a dark room, that light hits your retinas and sends a very confusing message to your brain. It essentially tricks your brain into thinking the sun is still up, that it is daytime.
So your brain literally thinks it is noon, even though it's midnight.
Yes. And because your brain thinks it is daytime, it suppresses the release of melatonin.
Which is the sleep hormone.
Exactly, the hormone responsible for making you feel sleepy. It stops your body from naturally winding down. Furthermore, scrolling social media feeds your brain rapid-fire hits of dopamine, which keeps you alert and wired. It is basically a biological disaster for sleep.
So what is the actionable solution from the text then?
The solution is to completely replace the phone with a physical book before bed. The text specifically advises reading in a dim light.
Dim light. Let's have our listeners practice that phrase too. Repeat after me. Dim light. I'll give you 3-second pause to practice right now. 1, 2, 3.
Awesome.
Great. So reading in a dim light.
Right. When you read a paper book illuminated only by a soft, warm bedside lamp, a dim light, you are removing the backlit screen entirely. This dim light signals to your body that the day is genuinely over. It allows your melatonin levels to rise naturally, telling your brain it is time to rest, which leads to a much deeper, much healthier sleep cycle.
No bright screens, no endless dopamine loops, just a soft, relaxing glow, paper, and ink. Let's bring Anna and Sam back for one more quick role play to demonstrate this. I will be Sam again. Anna, I'm so stressed and I cannot sleep at night.
Put away your phone, Sam. Try reading a physical book in a dim light for just 6 minutes.
And scene. You see, listener, we all struggle with phone addiction. It's completely normal, but the solution really is that simple. Okay, so we have established a mountain of evidence today.
We really have.
We know reading acts as a cognitive gym, building our focus. We know it improves our English vocabulary and grammar organically without the pain of textbooks. We know books act as silent mentors and that reading for just 6 minutes lowers our heart rate and rescues our sleep from blue light. But, how do we actually do it?
That is the most critical question because, frankly, Understanding the science and the benefits is entirely useless if you cannot build the daily habit.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting, because I see so many people completely self-sabotage when they try to start reading. They will feel highly motivated. They will go to the bookstore, buy a massive 600-page historical biography, and they will tell themselves, I am going to read 50 pages tonight.
Oh, that's a classic mistake.
Right. And then they get exhausted after 10 pages. They feel like a failure, and they never open the book again.
Yes. Attempting to read too much too fast is the single biggest mistake beginners make. I mean, you wouldn't walk into a physical gym on your first day and try to lift the heaviest weights in the room.
You would injure yourself and quit.
Exactly. The brain gym is no different. The source text provides a very clear, actionable roadmap, specifically designed to prevent this overwhelm. Step 1. Start incredibly small. Read just 5 pages a day.
5 pages, not a chapter, not a time limit, like read for an hour. Just 5 pages.
Just 5 pages. You can read them while you drink your morning chai or right before you turn out the light at night. 5 pages is a threshold that is so low, your brain literally cannot make an excuse to avoid it. It removes the pressure completely.
I love that. You are basically tricking your brain into building the habit by making it ridiculously easy. What is the next step?
Step 2 is about accessibility. Carry a book everywhere. Instead of relying on your phone to entertain you during the in-between moments of your day, use your silent mentor. If you're waiting 10 minutes for the bus, or you have a short break between classes at university, pull out your book and read just 1 or 2 pages. You are turning idle, wasted time into moments of massive personal growth.
And you are replacing a bad habit, mindless scrolling, with a high-value habit. But let's talk about step 3, because this is the one that completely revolutionized how I read in foreign languages, and the text highlights it as a crucial tip for English learners.
Yes, step 3 is vital. The text explicitly says, do not stop for every word.
Right.
When you are reading in English and you encounter a difficult word or a confusing sentence structure, the natural instinct is to immediately stop, open a dictionary, and translate it. The text advises against this entirely. Instead, try to guess the meaning of the word from the context of the sentence.
I really want to highlight this for everyone listening, because this is where the magic happens. Listener, you have permission to not be perfect. You have permission to not understand every single word on the page. When you stop to look up every word, you destroy the pacing of the story. Reading becomes a frustrating, tedious chore.
It becomes a punishment. And more importantly, when you guess a word's meaning based on the story around it, you are forcing your brain to actively engage. You are building tolerance for ambiguity, which is a critical skill in language learning. I mean, you won't always have a dictionary in the real world when someone is speaking to you.
That's so true.
Guessing trains your brain to find meaning through context, which is how true fluency is actually achieved.
It is brilliant. You just let the story carry you forward. Which leads perfectly into the final tip from the text, which might honestly be the most important rule of all. Choose books you actually enjoy.
It sounds obvious, but people often feel obligated to read, important books or classic literature that they actually find incredibly boring.
Like heavy textbooks.
Right. The source stresses that you should make reading a fun activity, not an academic task. If you love fast-paced thrillers, read thrillers. If you are passionate about cricket, read biographies of legendary cricketers. If you love romance, read romance. The genre doesn't matter, the act of reading does.
Because if you enjoy the story, you will come back to it tomorrow. The habit will just sustain itself. Well, we have covered an incredible amount of ground today. From realizing that reading is a literal workout for our cognitive processing, to understanding how implicit learning saves us from the absolute nightmare of memorizing grammar textbooks.
It really does.
We explored how the silent mentors in our backpacks can elevate our skills, how just 6 minutes of focused reading can manipulate our nervous system to lower our heart rate, and how ditching the blue light of our phones for a physical book in a dim room can finally give us the deep sleep we crave.
It is a profound shift in perspective. Reading is not just a hobby. It is a comprehensive tool for mental and physical well-being. And as we conclude our deep dive today, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to ponder based on everything we've synthesized from the source material.
I love this part.
If books are truly silent mentors that you can carry with you anywhere, and if reading just 5 pages can physically rewire your brain, lower your stress, and improve your language skills, What kind of mentor are you choosing to invite into your mind tonight?
Oh, wow. What kind of mentor are you inviting? And that is the perfect question to end on. Listener, we are so incredibly proud of the time you took today to invest in yourself and your English journey. You are on a fantastic path and you are doing great. So we have one final question for you based on our deep dive today. What book are you going to start reading for just 5 pages tomorrow morning? Tell us in the comments below.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.